Okay. We're back in the regular session.
We aren't going too fast.
What's that?
I'm gonna have Liz order the pizzas here before we're done.
No, we're not gonna take that much time now, right? We're on to.
So we gotta.
What's that?
For the contract.
That's the next, is it in the packet right now?
No, I got it.
Need a motion to send that to the full board, the ACC contract.
Motion.
Motion by Daryl, second by Dave. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Good deal. Okay. And these are all resolutions, so we can go right to the packet, am I correct on that?
Yeah, you may have to have a discussion, but
What's that?
may have to have a discussion, not the.
We get through it? Okay, so resolution A is mental health, 100% state aid. Moved by Dave, second by Charlie, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. B is mental health, regional abatement funds, by Dave. Second by Charlie, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Resolution C is Youth Bureau for Employment Program. Moved by Dave, second by Sue. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Yee, look at them down here's back. I need a motion on the salt. Okay, salty today. Moved by Charlie, second by Dave, and we're on to discussion and let's hear from you.
What do you want to hear?
Tell
Okay, so
tell us how your meeting went, and because that's why you're here, right?
first, can I, not forget to do something before I leave? That will help me. I should know. So, the salt bid, you remember, we worked with the towns on putting together a bid for salt. And we talked to the towns and everything, and we came to 9 towns would like to go off our bid and not the OGS. 8 towns would like to go off the OGS, and the county would like to go off the bid,
Not OGS, but the bid,
the bid, yep.
which was, what were the numbers again on that? One was.
Yes, I should talk about that, because when I talked to you guys, I gave you one price, and that, you pointed out, was not accurate, because we broke it up into different, zones. So that is the price, there's 4 zones in the county. So if it's being delivered for zone A, which is Cambridge, Easton, Jackson, and White Creek, it's $89. If it's zone B, that is Argyle, Fort Edward, Greenwich, Hebron, and Salem, and that's $89.90. Zone C is Fort Anne, Granville, Hartford, Kingsbury, $94. Zone D is Dresden, Hampton, Putnam, and Whitehall, $94.90. So,
I got it on the resolution.
It's only now, is it?
you, can, on
Here
the
in
next
C.
bid. So, those are the numbers, and I'll get them to you.
So is there, we'll have no idea what the OSG bid is.
Yeah, it's the same way every year. You don't know what OGN is. So there's a number of knowns and unknowns with this, and I will talk about those. So one of the biggest unknowns, knowns and unknowns sheet is OGS this year. So this year, as you remember, we had the Buy America Salt Act law. So in that verbiage of the law, it said may. But OGS was directed by the governor's office to shall. So they awarded if it met within the criteria of 10% over the lowest bid, they awarded to an American salt company. Now, don't get American Salt Company mixed up with American Rock Salt, that's kind of, so they didn't award it to American Rock Salt, but, so we all know what happened with that. There were two big issues this year. There was contamination issues and there was supply issues. So, both of them can be attributed, in my opinion, to that vitamin salt tax. But what we don't know this year is how OGS is gonna be directed to bid. Is OGS gonna be directed to follow the Buy American? There's rumors that OGS is gonna be allowed to, let Canadian companies in. But if that's the case, are they gonna be allowed to let other companies in? This particular company that won the low bid for our bid is Atlantic, and they are out of Chile.
Is $89 got the floater tariff in it or not in it?
So when we got the bid, there was a sheet with a list of exceptions on it. So we don't do exceptions, right? So when we get a bid, the bid is the bid. If you take exceptions from one, you're not giving a fair to anyone else. So there were two exceptions on the bid that are kind of like nothing. One is bid awarded. Bid is, pricing is good if awarded for 30 days. One is Atlantic Salt will not accept secondary. Well, Atlantic won the bid, so that was a thing anyway. Bid pricing is void if Washington County decides to buy, i.e. commits to using New York State salt contract. I called them and told them that we can't do these exceptions, that the exception sheet is basically thrown out. I did want to clarify to them that we cannot tell the towns what to do. Just so they know, right? The fourth exception was any government imposed tariffs and or shipping fees will be passed through to the end user. And that I called them and said, that is in our bid, as we talked about in, the committee meeting. It's already in the bid. I talked to them, so they're aware of that already. They are still willing to, I don't know, can I say this? Are they still willing to do the bid? Like, if the
They
bid-
didn't withdraw.
They didn't withdraw. I mean, can you even after it's been opened? I don't know. Like, they're still working with us, knowing that we're what I just talked.
So what was the last year's price?
Last year's price was $70.15 a ton.
With the same delivery differentials?
There were no delivery differentials on
This
that
one says
contract.
25% in increase. 25.
There are differences.
Kind of like our budget right now.
So you guys are actually hauling the salt up there. Who's gonna be paying $5.90 or $4.90?
70,
Yeah.
90.
You're going up there. and
$20.
just Dump a load every time.
Oh, Brian's got all
Yeah,
kinds
you're
of
right,
fixes.
30%. would be 21.
Well, I had all sorts of ideas. We're on the same page, Charlie.
Okay.
It
Maybe we could buy a truck and use it for salt.
was the same thing.
Oh.
Okay,
Question is, say I go with state bid for so many tons. Am I still allowed to piggyback off this bid to go with Atlantic Salt for my last 6 tons?
So I'm not a guru on bids and stuff like that. Will Atlantic not sell it to you? I don't know. I really don't know.
Do the other companies have a pricing differential based on zones?
No, there are, when we do the ODS bid, there is no zones. We worked with the towns to come up with these zones. So everybody at the town level knew about the zones.
So everyone that bid like based on the zones.
Yes.
You're so
Well,
sorry, Charlie.
The bids were based on zones. The bids were in, the zones were in the bid, yes.
Okay, so
Yes, yep, well, everyone bid, and there were only 2 bids.
Cargill's bid have a differential or? no?
That,
The Cargill's bid have differentials also? Or they're flat fee.
Cargill's bids were a flat $98.83, no matter what zone you're in.
That doesn't make you feel any better.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know who's, bidding for the OGS contract? Same supplier.
So that's where that one main, unknown is we don't know if OGS is gonna allow American rock salt because of not necessarily being responsible. Are they working on maybe, deeming them as not responsible? We don't know if they're gonna allow the Canadians or other outside entities. We don't know what OGS is doing. And OGS to their, I don't know, they don't know what's going on either. They're trying to work through this stuff.
See, we think the magnitude's big here, but this is where it is at the town level, so my superintendent's waiting to hear from me after the meeting. But he wants to wait for OSG because just the same amount of salt we would buy is $8,000 more money.
Right.
Which is about half or 40% anyway of our tax.
But the other side of that
And
coin
it's
is,
like,
a lot of the salt we got was so wet, was already reactivated. They put it on the road, you might as well put sand down, it didn't do anything.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit
You know,
about that.
and they had rocks in it, with they made a product that weren't buying a true ton of salt, good salt, you're getting up to that.
We did an experiment and we came up with a little less than 85% of it was salt.
It's
So-
higher than I thought it was.
Yeah, we took 50 pounds and dissolved it and we had 8 pounds of stone.
8 pounds.
Out of
So-
50.
You know,
wow.
Hey, am I, Deb, I might have missed it, but what's the cutoff for accepting that bid at a town level? When do we have to say yay or nay on the,
well, I talked to everybody yesterday, got the yays and nays, so that when we, if we were to bid today.
but, oh, so you'd be bidding for the towns?
The ones
The
that wanted
quantity?
it, that
Yeah,
wanted it.
oh, I understand that, but I mean, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, we had, the towns were included in this bid.
So what is your bid then? What is the quantity? You've got a quantity number, right?
Everybody had a quantity, yes.
They submitted?
Yep.
When does OGS come out?
So the thing with OGS, remember, is the bids, the submission to get on the OGS bid is due by May 1st. When you submit to do the OGS bid, you guarantee that you're gonna buy 50% of what you put in. If you say you're gonna buy 100 tons, you have to buy 50 tons. And some of you, if you don't, you have to pay storage fees. And you can, that price is good for up to 120, you have to buy 50%.
But that's when you have to submit your bid. When does OGS come out with a number for you to decide?
Oh, you decide on May 1st. If you submit.
Right, oh, I understand that,
You
when
submit,
you
you have
decide,
decided,
but
but
when
you'll
do
know in
you hear the
September.
number, is what I'm saying?
Oh, that's September 1st,
When?
September-ish.
Oh, so you're accepting that without knowing the number, is what you're saying?
Every year, that's.
Wow, that's a tough one, isn't
Always
it?
an unknown, you always commit to 50% of what you, put in for, it. We always use a 10-year average. when
With,
we put ours
okay,
in.
so then
This-
let me run this a different way. In past history, where's the OGS bid been compared to this type of bidding? Or is this something totally new now? In other words, what made you ever decide to go with OGS? You must have a track record of the other bids being higher that you have to submit now. How did you make the decision which way to go? Because if OGS has been historically lower for the last 20 years, I can see why you'd stay with OGS. But if this has been lower historically, you would jump on the, how do you know?
Maybe the volatility wasn't as high, so now the variability is much more important, that's what, I don't know.
Well, but
And the
see, that's
quality
the
of the
trouble,
salt.
Twenty bucks.
we don't know.
Right.
We don't.
We
If I
normally
had
probably
to
only
pick-
had smaller dollars, like $5 and $7 differentials per year.
Well, if I had to pick, the number one reason why we wanted to do this is because we wanted to get more bang for our buck with our salt. We wanted good quality salt. And I put down next to every member who said, or every town who said yes, and it was rather go with good salt. It is so challenging in the heat of winter to not have good salt or not have salt at all. And we have had fluctuations, of course, in the OGS bid. I don't have the historical data, but I can probably get that. I do know from conversations recently with the towns and Jimmy on this, when there was a salt shortage in the past, I believe that I was told that the price went up the next year, $20 a ton. So there was a significant price increase the next year. I'm not saying that's gonna happen this year, I don't know. But I do
Already
think,
did.
just given the state of everything, if you were to take out our contamination issues and our supply issues, you would probably guess that the price is going to go up this year, even without all of the issues that we had for last year.
Have they told you what the percentage for their clean rate for this salt is? 95%?
Yes, so the salt is supposed to be 95%. The bid is at 95%.
Is it pre-treated salt or is it just, straight rock salt?
Straight rock salt. So the consistent, over the past OGS I talked to and they looked it up, and for at least the past 3 years that she looked, it has been required to be 95% salt. And I could go into all that we did when we were getting contaminated salt, but
It's a lot more important for the county to have the good salt than it is the town. Than the brine.
when you make it right.
We use more sand. The county doesn't use sand.
Well, that horse trail up there, but
So we're ready to make a decision?
Not really, but we have to.
Yeah. So
Just so you know, I'm gonna have to
amend it.
amend the resolution, put the rates in.
Sorry, send me my phone.
So
I'll make a motion to approve this.
A second.
Discussion.
just trying to understand it. There's 8 and 9, you said, are the two number for the towns?
Yep.
So when we approve this, are we approving all for one or are we separating? How's this motion made? The ones that don't want to go with it,
Are in it.
how's the motion being made?
We're just accepting the bid.
We're just accepting the bid.
Oh, okay, and so they can still
They'll all
have.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I thought that you were locking into a number.
Well,
County is.
we are locking into a number. That's what the bid does, but it's for whoever wants to be on the bid, whoever wants to piggyback.
We're locked into a cost, we're not locked into a minimum or a maximum, which you get on the
Right,
OGS.
so we're not locking into a number as far as quantity.
No, not.
Right,
And if you remember, a
Thank
couple
you.
years ago, we had an open winter and we had salt coming out our ears. We had no place to store 50%. And it was statewide and the state forgave us all and somehow, I don't know how they pulled that off. But we were trying to find any place we could find to put salt and lucky enough, we didn't have to do it.
So if any town orders off the county, then they're only obligated to pay for what they order. There isn't gonna be a max or a minimum.
right, there's no maximum.
Which might be the best way to attack it.
Yeah, that's one.
Get a certain amount. And
They're still hauling salt in from our last contract right now. And our salt shed's gonna be full. I think this might be a good way for us to go forward. To use all that stuff for the winter mix, the sand. And then have a stockpile with that, and just mix a pile of hot, right in the yard.
Just screen and get stones all out and you'll have a lot of room.
But if we can get by with more sand, then come back on the salt.
Well, they're bringing you the sand right with it, just in rock form, you haven't broke it up yet.
Well, we use that for the culvert then. Culvert.
And there are a number
We
of
utilize
counties
everything.
who do their own salt pit. The OGS still has to put it out because the OGS, the state gets theirs off OGS. That's their only way of doing it. State does not do it separate.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Oh, remember the little pink note? Well, no, this is not. This is, so I want it. I'm not gonna be here for April meeting,
You're not gonna be here what?
for April committee,
Really?
so I'm gonna send him.
That's good. We'll do your evaluation with Jimmy and we'll find out what's really happening.
So in our budget this year, we put in for a chipper, a new chipper. This chipper is being purchased through best value and it's over $50,000. It's $50,114, just a little bit on our chipper. It is in our budget. We have 3 quotes. And we're hoping to get approval to move forward. Or we can make it wait till May.
And it's best value, but it's still the lowest, is what you're saying?
Best value, our policy is if it's over $50,000, best value has to get 3 quotes and come to committee and get a blessing.
And now, is that what you budgeted it for, or were you expecting cheaper, more?
Budgeted, I think we budgeted a little bit more for this, but I don't know the exact number that we budgeted. Off the top of my head, what I do?
Motion?
I'll make the motion.
One discussion, you,
Discussion.
do you have an old one to get rid of?
Like, if we are not replacing something, we bring it to committee, because the understanding when we purchase new is that we're not ever in growing our fleet. So yes, we have one. If there's some reason that we want to, not get rid of it, I would bring it to committee. If you want it to put on our special auction for towns, then we can do that as well.
And I don't want anything right now, just wanted to know if you had one you can replace it. Okay, thank
I
you.
don't know if you're-
Scott?
Is this a scheduled replacement or is it due to issues with the old?
This is replacing one.
Let's say it's scheduled. Yeah, I think this is it.
I can add.
We're good from the house the other day.
Replacing furniture.
Oh, your window out, huh?
Oh, I got my chips in the field.
We have a couple of chippers. It's not, we don't have one chipper. I believe we have 3.
I know, we borrowed one.
Jimmy must have fallen asleep and then he back.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Very good. That it?
I sure wish. Thank you.
Really the duties. Okay, resolution E is to amend the county road fund budget to carry out road spent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. F, amend county road to carry over unspent water quality. By Dave, by Darrell, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, carried. G, county road fund budget carry over unspent W.
Second.
By Dave, second by Darrell, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. H is to amend the county road fund carry over unspent like Champlain Basin.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. I is unspent county road fund for unspent fence and
Seconded.
Diggs Bridge. Discussion.
Where did we leave that last year about with Washington County and the costs and the grant and all that? Didn't, wasn't there something brought up that, it seemed like you made a few.
Yeah, that's why the state's not paying for it, because it's part of the Empire State Trail.
Right, and somebody's gonna look into that, correct? And was anything done on that matter? Cause here we are again.
says in here, whereas a memorandum of understanding with Saratoga County to share the costs, so I assume that means.
That's
state
the old
doesn't pay.
story, the
Yeah.
same resolution from every year, but we were supposed to pursue that. And this is okay because we're just carrying it over, we're not spending it. So we still got,
I thought she did.
Yeah.
I thought she got back to us, well, it's still here, so I assume she didn't win. Cause we even asked about the bike bridges. I don't know that we ever got an answer. That sounds like there are costs too when that comes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Kingsbury has 2 or 3 of them right now. That the state put in. But if they fail, that obligation falls on the county because.
we don't know. Where did it fall to the town?
Yeah.
who should we put in charge of researching that?
I would say we gotta bring that up at DPW, but.
Okay.
No, I think that's the best way to handle it. Yeah, cause we're just carrying it over now, but let's find out. Okay.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that was on aye. So we're good. Yay. Social Services for Adoption and Legal Guardianship Incentive Payments Program. I'll move it. Someone. Sam, did you move that? I did. Second? Charlie? Any discussion?
This is 100%.
Yeah.
Reimbursed, so
Yes.
I'm on for
Bring your popcorn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What the? Carried. Okay, public health for Walmart. You got that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. L is public safety to carry over unspent domestic terrorism prevention grant. Moved by Jay, second by Daryl, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. M is public safety carryover unspent 2023 emergency management performance grant. I'll move it. Second Sam, second by Dave. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. N is public safety emergency management performance grant. So moved. Second. By Daryl, second by Dave. Discussion there. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. O is public safety carryover unspent hazard mitigation grant. Move. I'll second it. By Dave, second by Daryl, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. P is to create a capital project for the emergency medical services support grant. Second. Yeah, moved by Sam, second by. Al.
I was in discussions with, clerk of the board this morning. I would like you to consider possibly putting this in general fund rather than creating a capital project. It was my recommendation that it be a capital project, but with the personal services nature of this grant, it might be cleaner for everyone if it just stays in general fund. And fund the salaries out of there, otherwise you're adding a stepping out of process whereby general fund would have to build a capital project for the services and the project is in the buffer for audit. It's just, it's an additional unnecessary step. They could be avoided just by putting this in the general fund rather than creating.
So I amend my motion to read that.
Thank you, sir.
Your second on that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
So just to remind everybody, this is one of those moments where if we build it, they will come. But this is a case where we don't want them to call dispatch and nobody gets dispatched. So this one's a little more different than any of the other ones we ever talked about. And we're trying to keep all of our local EMS intact as we move along. This was the best way to make up for ALS that isn't available in certain areas and getting less available as we speak. So we have a couple, I guess, of rescue squads that are flailing a little bit and we don't know how longer we can keep them going. And we're doing everything we can to make it work, but it's something we don't want to lose. And the cost knows where it'll go, special district, where it's all over the board right now.
Yeah, and then
Try to make the way.
the second piece of this resolution that I need your input on, part of this, the supplies line for 45,000. is not covered by the grant. I need to know what funding source you want for that. Contingency or fund balance.
Really? That hadn't been brought to me.
It was a committee.
It was the committee.
There are consumables that are not covered by the grant.
Like bandages.
Bandages and pharmacy supplies and stuff like that. Either contingency or fund balance, it has the same effect.
Yeah, because you're gonna go, I guess I'd do contingency first, because that way it'll put eyes on the fund balance when it starts going.
That will need that for the.
I got thinking about it after that committee and wondering where we could find a grant that could help for that 45,000. And Mary McFarland Foundation would be a good one to reach out to for that.
Good idea. It kind of fits what they do.
It's an easy grant and they're very good.
Have you mentioned that to Tim or no?
Pass that on.
That's a good idea,
And
Think
we can
so.
pass it
because they're
with
running out of
contingency line
things
in
to
there.
do.
And if we do better than that, we can only win.
Right. Wow. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Q is the legislative board carryover unspent funds.
Can we step back to O for just a second? No. That grant is contingent upon all the towns that have done their part of the head litigation plan. We know that everybody did.
I know I'm behind on it. Yeah, I know I'm behind on it.
For anybody to win, because that was due.
Just an update on that, it was the less than a announcement.
Their email sent out, Matt, so, but we all.
Talking about to send out the things for the set schedule. I tried to call there, we haven't got, maybe somebody else did, but I didn't get a schedule, one we could, a number we could schedule at.
Your name is on the schedule.
You have a time frame?
And Dave's is on the schedule now. And where's Richard Cambridge?
Village.
Did I think? Charles.
Could I ask you to forward me a copy of that? I don't know what time it is or what.
Okay, it was in your email this morning.
Oh, okay.
Oh, oh,
Because I signed up.
I think it's just open.
So if I look at today's email, probably it's there.
Yeah.
It's just because, I didn't want us to go
I know.
raging ahead on saying the grant and we couldn't spend it because some of us were.
Yeah,
I'm not, I didn't.
there's two parts to it though. There's the plan itself, right?
Right.
And then there's the in-person sit down next week. We gotta do.
Right, 15 to 16.
Well, that's the same thing, I think.
That's what we're, yeah, I think that's what we're talking
They,
about.
they help you do that.
They help you do everything.
Oh, I've already done.
Well, if you're already done, why you
Turn
schedule?
in the report.
Lots of times they want to meet with you anyway.
Yeah, I'll check with the, I'll check with.
is to meet with FEMA and the state. As well as the company that.
I got a question.
Okay, are we good on that? Are we good on all?
I don't know.
I'm great.
Apparently we are.
We don't check
I'm
the
great.
email. Okay,
We're good on O, we're just talking about the follow-up.
so we're back on Q, right? Or did we finish
Yeah,
that?
we're on Q.
We're on Q. Just moving money to.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. R, is create a capital project for the USGA project. Moved by Dave, second by Sam. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Gary. S. Board of Elections electronic poll worker. So moved. Moved by Dave, second by Sam.
I do have some discussion. Karen, can you enlighten us on electronic poll vote? Are you involved in that?
Yeah, it's a replacement of their, end of life iPads, that are for the electronic poll book. When people come in, they sign.
Oh, just those tablets?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the other ones were end of life at the end of last year.
Yeah. Good conversation.
And
Terry, is there an opportunity to get rid of the old ones with no cost, or is that always a cost to get rid of the old ones?
Get rid of them? No, they're just, they're not, we can't auction them because they're too end of life. They won't take iOS updates anymore. So no one's gonna buy them. We just destroy them like we would like an old hard drive or something.
And there's a cost to that, correct?
No, we've taken to doing that through DPW. We work with DPW and we have an observed chop saw session.
And then they just go in
Just drive over with the truck.
I'm good.
I think we should turn it into a revenue generator and create a frustration room for county employees, where they get a sledgehammer and an iPad, and just smash it.
There you go, not a bad idea.
Lot of
Yes, we want
PPE
it
required,
to-
so.
Those are range.
The shooting range.
I wonder what nine
Right.
charge.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye,
Opposed, carried. Okay,
I'll move to the T.
T is the St. Paul's move, and Daryl's moving it. Do we have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I have another.
Oh.
You see the sign council?
I didn't see the sign council, that's what I'm thinking in my head.
That's not there because we couldn't verify the numbers.
Okay. So that's coming to the full board?
It will need to come to the full, right? We just needed.
There's whatever ones I gave them committee on, I can get them.
We had them for the meeting, didn't we? So we saw this when we met and briefly.
I can get to the numbers in a second.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's, that's the-
Did it get bigger or smaller?
Shouldn't have moved because there's not any more mountain.
Didn't move.
While I was looking for that, can I ask a question of the committee? No.
Yeah, go ahead.
What would you consider to be a threshold that we put on annual mileage to vehicles? If we're gonna really crack this open and look at it hard for the vehicles. If, let's just say, what's your threshold? Is it less than $10,000 miles a year? We're gonna look at pulling it.
That's a good idea.
I'm just asking for y'all to marinate on that and come up. We need a metric.
Well, that's
I
one
think we
metric.
gotta look at average usage of the fleet in a day, you know, are we using only 70% a day? 4 days a week, you know,
Right,
and can
but
we
we can also-
reschedule to cut it back 30%?
We're gonna have to come up with a number though, that we all agree upon as the metric. And then we'll go for that, and then we'll use analytics to do it, and not worry about anything else.
So what that's gonna take is a rotation, like carpool, to make sure they put cars out, and they'll just use the same one over and over, and that's part of where we are now.
And of course, they'd be newer if we got rid of the old, if we did that. Because lots of times they won't take it because it's older or it's this or it's that, but all of a sudden, if you did that, they would be newer vehicles from the get-go and. Cause you get rid of the older ones.
It felt like that when we got 75% reimbursement, that it felt like the way to go. Okay,
Yeah.
because you were constantly redoing it with the change in percentage rate and the amortization of 3 years. We're talking a different ballgame then.
It is a little different.
Yeah, and so I think that needs to be taken into play. But they also think that usage, and also we're looking at outside satellite offices for DSS, not necessarily in-house only. It's a different ballgame.
Well, that you also, at what point does the cars cost get so high because they've gone up?
Right.
And as you get to a higher level, is it smarter to pay mileage for certain groups that we shouldn't even supply a car?
Yeah,
I'm not sure we should even
right.
have car for certain people. Just pay the mileage and be done. There's no maintenance on that. They can do their own maintenance.
And then the cluster liability.
Well, if it's an ADA headed to court, I
We're
don't know
covered
if they need
with
a,
people, not with vehicles, because we don't have collision.
yeah.
But
Which
that
is
would be
something we
their
should-
own insurance.
Yeah, so some people
They're
might
insured
not.
anyway.
That's how you paid your mileage.
Yeah, it's on your mileage. So I mean, some of them should not be on our dime, other than mileage.
For work,
Mhm.
your insurance goes up, right?
It could, but how much? I mean,
I don't know, way your insurance went up, car insurance went up fast in a couple of years. Who knows what's gonna happen?
That's if you report it.
we can't advise that.
That's all it's facing, number of miles you can drive.
I didn't say it was gonna write it, put it up.
I didn't advise anything, I just made a statement.
I agree with you completely. If we know total usage in miles, we can get a lot of metrics out of that. The average is 30 miles an hour in this county. So how many hours are in the car of people? Are they productive during that time? We can look to bring it all together.
That's subjective.
Yeah.
The other qualifier that came up when Deb and I met with all the department heads was that last year, I think, to talk about their fleet was some of the vehicles travel just to Hudson Falls area, right? So that, like, code enforcement. John actually had one of the older vehicles in his area, I think, was this, so he wasn't putting many miles on his car. So that always comes into play too. It's a difficult thing to figure out.
But that leans me more towards managing as a fleet,
Yeah,
not assigning to a department.
right. Or even if it's within the department head can say, hey, you know, I'm taking this car today, you know, you can switch them around so that they're getting the same amount of miles about a month instead of somebody getting all of them and somebody getting very few.
Brian, what if you or the committee assigned two people, let's say Darren and Charlie, to think about what they want for information and go down and ask them to collect this information, hand it out, and then we'll have a discussion in DPW or wherever. But I think instead of all of us have kind of shared our
Actually,
thoughts right here now.
finance is in charge of actual car fleet.
Well,
It's kind of amazing.
Then
to
you
me,
better
but-
order lunch, because right now
No, I
we're
don't
running
need, no, I don't
2 hour
need to do it
meetings.
right now. I
Trying
like
to
the
spread it out.
idea. But I mean,
Well, why
it would
don't
come
you-
back, it would come back.
Why
here.
don't we, I don't care where you send it,
I'm not gonna stay.
assign Daryl, who's head of or Public Works, and Charlie, who's our analysis, to collect, at least request the data that's gonna be necessary to, study this.
Some of it.
So Brian, can't we consolidate where we manage our cars? Can't we have carpool manage them all, no matter what it's fleet for DSS? We have one place and we're looking at what the usage is.
Well, they've got all that information. They can get it all right from DPW, the carpool. They do
Right.
manage all the
Even
information.
DSS?
They just don't they just don't manage, yeah, because everything goes through the gas pump.
The whole fleet in one place.
So everything goes through the gas pump. It controls all the miles, all the fuel, everything about it.
I mean, we can't keep, that was 18,000, 5,000 of it with gas, but that's still 13,000. You got a brand new vehicle that drives 10,000 miles a year. And we're spending that
Yeah,
amount.
you wouldn't do that with your own car. so
No
why would
way,
you
no
do
how.
that?
And we got
Right.
3 years of warranty.
So
3
we're,
years of warranty.
if we're doing that across the board on the whole fleet, we're bleeding right there.
Yeah, we need to explore. We need to
Why-
understand.
Then I got, that's a great idea. Why don't you send them two after the information and we're just sitting here still postulating. I mean, let's move off from the postulating. part.
Let's
Okay,
make
and
sure,
move
let's
forward.
make sure that Daryl and Charlie wanna do that, because I don't wanna send somebody. to do
Well,
something they
you
don't
didn't
do.
see their eyes light up when I suggested it.
Uh-oh, you're coming back at a bad time.
Daryl's eyes. You're gonna see more of Daryl and Charlie, sorry.
You're gonna start wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oh, good, you did come
I
back.
already made a preemptive strike.
Since you came back,
Yeah.
there is a question on the bridges. The Dix Bridge, why the state doesn't pay for that, and what becomes of the bike bridges when they're done. I remember having the discussion, but I don't know if we ever got the answer.
So maybe you could help me out with this. Well, remember when we were, like, we didn't want to pay, why are we paying for this? And I reached out to Saratoga, I gotta remember this, way back. But I reached out to Saratoga and they provided us with some resolutions that we had, that we agreed to do this together. And I have it all in a file somewhere. So there was funding. Do you remember exactly how it went?
No, that's why I brought it up, but we couldn't remember what the outcome was. And the second part of the question was, we have bike bridges now throughout the county in different towns
That they put up, the state did.
that the state installed. when they need maintenance or when they get flagged, is our county gonna be responsible for maintaining the state's bike
Yes.
bridges? I don't think that's right.
It
They
is.
wanted the bike path. I didn't mind it either, but we didn't vote to request it, that's my point.
Yeah.
So why should we bear the cost? That's a state cost.
We have a rail trail across the town road. We get $110 a year bill to DEC to cross our road.
They bill you?
Yes,
Don't pay it.
DEC said, I'm not. We got 2 notices on it, but it's $110 a year for them to cross our road.
But Dan, doesn't that logic seem rather flawed that they?
I don't disagree that it's illogical. But it's state government. Do you see anything logical about state
Right,
government?
but yeah, we gotta stop going down this road because the government's messed up. And we still keep sending them payment. We gotta stop.
So when it gets real bad, the bridge and it needs replacing, just yank it out of there and the road's closed.
Done.
And then they'll
You guys
put it
want to
back
put
up.
another bridge in? Go ahead, put another bridge.
Yes,
We're not paying.
that's what you do.
Because, I mean, they're, not to say that the decking on the bridge up on, right up 196, they're starting to pop right now. So it's just gonna be a matter of time before somebody goes over their handlebars on those bridges. And the other thing too, I would ask about, like, what happens if somebody did get hurt on that bridge? Because there's a piece of decking that's sticking up right now on that bridge.
Where is this?
Bike bridge.
Off of 196, what is that? That little road that,
Towpath.
is that Towpath?
Towpath. I don't know where you're talking.
But you're on,
Oh, on Lock Gateway or on?
Before you
no,
lock it
across
away.
the road.
Just before you get to Lock Gateway.
Up over the overpass. There's a little turn off or a parking area. That decking is already coming and popping off. Listen, it is gonna be a matter of time before somebody hits it and gets hurt. And then who's responsible if somebody gets hurt on that bridge? Is it us?
It's on the state bridge?
Yeah, state bike bridge.
Perfect. If you call DOT, right, they must take care of the bike bridge.
They didn't ask us,
We could set a precedent,
What we
get them to
wanted-
fix
I
that
don't know anything
board and
about
fix the whole bridge.
those bridges down there, I don't know about. The one, the Sarah Eidelman Memorial Bridge, that's ours.
She hasn't died. She's
Well,
still with us.
It's still a memorial.
I don't think
Somebody
it's a
said.
memorial.
Well, if we have to fix it.
But that bridge is concrete, correct? Yep.
Yes, that cost $1 million,
That's a
$890,000.
And it
The
hardly
one
no
on,
cars.
in Greenwich.
Fort Miller.
whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, that's, it's steel and a concrete deck.
but the decking on those bridges in Kingsbury on that bike, those are wood and they're popping up already.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody's reached out to
I
me.
just walked over it the other day because I had to take a photograph for Kiwa.
So reach out to the state and tell them to fix them before they tell you.
Think of that.
It might.
As I said, otherwise, it's things should. Put up cones on each side saying it's part of the trails closed.
Yeah, nobody has, at the state has reached out for us to do that. Those bridges there, I've never heard anything about. The ones, the one down in Greenwich, Fort Miller, I have.
Well, this is why I asked. They're over 20 feet long. My understanding is any bridge in this county that's over 20 feet, the county has to maintain more culvert, correct?
That is for vehicular.
Specific to vehicular?
It is because we,
Because the
because
state
if
say that
that
bike
was,
is vehicular.
huh?
Because they drive cars over. Keegan's driving cars over them every day now.
Because the Dix Bridge in fact is, it was an abandoned bridge. It was not used for vehicular and that's why we have to pay for the inspection. Otherwise, the state,
There.
Do snowmobiles go over the Dix Bridge?
yes.
Are they registered by DMV?
Yes.
Yes. Do snowmobiles go over the bridges in Kingsbury? Answer is yes. Are they registered? So those are considered vehicles. Am I wrong?
That's probably where the boards are coming up.
No, they're-
Carolyn.
Don't tell that story.
Part of it is pressure treated lumber that's already worked, so they're
Yeah.
trading.
That's what happens.
Anyway, we
It's
should do the same
pressure
thing.
treated it.
But my point was, we have to be prepared for those things. And I'd like to know if you're responsible for maintenance and repairs if they ever happen. I don't think we've ever got an answer.
And liability.
And
So-
liability, thank you, Jay, because that's probably the biggest number of all.
So find that out for us, please. Who's responsible? Yeah, we know you're in charge. That's why we're asking you. we want liability and
Repair.
repair
And repair.
costs.
Well, we don't have the, canal bridges, I know that, like, certain canal bridges are not ours. But certain other canal bridges belong to DOT. So the one down by the IDA,
Yes.
that is 5 miles and like this, that over the canal. That's a vehicular bridge, by the way, or a vehicular bridge, by the way, that is owned by DOT.
The one on East Street?
Yeah. But some canal bridges are owned by canals and some are owned by DOT.
I always thought that was owned by Canal Corp.
No, I just had a conversation with
Yeah, because we talked about it, they wanted to take it
They
out.
want to take it out?
They wanted to take it out. Canal Corp didn't want it, they couldn't, because DOT owned it.
Because the question came up on Ryder, though, up in Whitehall. And I had to call them about that because they said DOT owned it, but it was over a canal. That doesn't make sense, so. But he said some of them they own and some of them now owns. So,
They had serious problems.
very clever.
In the state, it's reposting that up on Ryder
You
Road.
got your numbers?
I've got two budget amendments I need to respectfully ask for. First is for my department. Every year when we do the BAN renewal, we don't budget for the renewal costs because we don't know at the time the budget's passed what the allocation is going to be. In normal years, we just do that as part of the cleanup resolution. The last one you'll see is this May. That thing is now a thing of the past. So I now need to come to committee when there's a budget overdraft. My portion of the bill this year is $3,221. The rest of it's allocated between the capital projects and the sewer district. So the portion that I need to budget in my department is the 3,221. So that would be a hit to contingency and increase by 40.18 account.
At the same time, do you want to do the other two accounts?
I don't know if they need money in the other,
You don't know what.
the capital
they need.
projects
Okay.
don't need the money. My budget does.
Okay.
So you want a
No move.
resolution for that?
Yeah.
Second.
Move by Jay, second by Sam. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
The second one,
Who was the numbers you were looking at?
so the second one is the assigned council budget amendment. I just sent a worksheet to Deb Rhoda because it's not just amending a line. There's a bunch of lines over and a bunch of lines under. The net of all the expenses and revenues that's gonna hit fund balance. So the shortfall is 1.2 million. The net effect of fund balance is 570,651.
Oh, so it's a little better than it was.
A little
the other
better.
day.
Because I took some of the expenses that were underspent and added them into the revenue too. So the net effect of fund balance would be the 570.
And
But
then
the total overages were 1.2 million.
but they were well represented. Okay, motion for that.
I mean,
Move by Daryl, second by Charlie. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, carried. You had your hand up before we got this discussion. You back on the bridges?
Yes, I want to make sure that the two bridges on Lock 8 Gateway are still owned by IDA or somebody else. They're not owned by us. That never changed.
Yes, they're on the tip.
Bridges,
There's only one.
Only one. Well, there's a culvert. Right, it's a culvert.
That's a bridge over a culvert.
It's a bridge, one's like a bridge over culvert. It's
Right.
different than the first bridge.
That's a historical.
The first one is a,
Have a capital project to replace it, so I'm assuming it's county bridge.
Yeah,
when did they become county bridges? Because we voted, I don't know how many times not to own them. And then the
They got
IDA
the
would have
money-
to own them.
right. The IDA got the money to actually replace it, so it got put on the.
the cost of replacing that bridge is none to us.
Right.
Right, but when it's replaced, we're gonna own it.
No.
Okay, I'll-
Is that how that was left? No, but when it's replaced.
The grant's replacing
We'll own
it.
it
You're
then.
right, the grant will replace it, so there's no cost.
But I thought
But is it a town road or is it a private road?
private road.
Actually, no.
The town of Kingsbury is not on that section of road.
Town of Kingsbury does not own that section of road. The road from where the Fort Edward line is, all the way in, is owned by the town of Fort Edward.
The IDA owns the rest of it. It's okay.
So who owns the road where the bridge is?
IDA.
So it shouldn't be ours. Like, if we're gonna start owning bridges, I don't know, it's IDA private, I don't know.
Yes.
I talked to,
No, it's a public entity. It's not really private. I don't know how you,
DOT does.
Public entities don't block our roads.
what's that?
Public entities don't put barriers on the roads. That one has a barrier,
Yes, they do. There are public roads that are locked.
not in our county. We don't want them. Somebody else.
I
is
don't
doing it.
think
We're
it-
not doing that.
I don't think it's gonna be locked. It's gonna get too busy.
Really?
Possibly.
Wait till they start doing the drag racing up and down, you see them lock it up quick. Cause that's why they blocked it.
Yeah, but when it's busy, they get run over. I don't think they'd be drag racing.
No, it's 7 o'clock at night, Brian, nobody's down there driving, they go down there and drag race, that was the issue, remember? Are you guys all?
I don't
forgetting
remember
about
that
the
ever being the
helicopter
issue.
Kicking out airplanes out of there?
No.
You don't remember that?
No, never heard the
I
story.
need you to pay attention.
You can tell the story, because I've never heard it.
My recall was, there was a motorcycle drag racing up and down the road. The kid hit the bridge. Under the pressure, the guy airlifted out of there. That's why they started locking them, they had that big, what is that thing? Do they call those gates? What do they call it?
I would call it a
Came up
gate,
last time, I said, how many public roads do we know that were they locked?
but I had no
Don't
idea
do that
that's
on
why the
County
gate
Route
was
41,
even
or
there.
don't do it on county.
I believe that
Charlie,
Speaking of disputed ownership, did we ever resolve the Warren Road issue between Warren
It is
County? and
being
Washington?
decided by the judge as we speak, at least temporarily.
Oh, okay. I drove, just curious.
At the last court appearance, there was a strong push to settle it. Town of Queensbury sounded willing to meet and try to reach an agreement, so Village of Hudson Falls.
Okay, thanks.
I believe it is.
And just to follow through on my conversation, Deb, the other bridge over the dive culvert on the road section of the Block 8 Gateway Road. The town has taken that road, and is that bridge over 20 feet long to where we automatically own it?
All I know is it goes around.
It's not a culvert. There's a culvert buried, and they said the ground was too sensitive, so they built a bridge over it. And the supervisors before you rented a school bus from Fort Edward or somebody and loaded all of us supervisors up. We all went down there and looked over the edge of the culvert at the dirt underneath it and thought how foolish this whole thing was. Now, if we acquired that bridge, I think even Deb had to go because it was a committee meeting. And so she had to record our oohs and ahs as we looked over the
the
handrail.
answer's gonna be, if it's in Fort Edward, it belongs to Fort Edward.
Not if it's over 20 feet long, it belongs to the county, any bridge. And I just want to know how long that bridge is. Maybe you should go down and look at it since the town took it over on us. and it's got
How do we
its own
shorten
bridge.
that?
It's more than 20
Says
feet.
Over a-
Why can't we come back here?
That's what I was wondering. Did you get lost? Or did you actually have something you wanted to bring up?
Well, I think it'd be good for you to know you might own another bridge.
Or two?
Or we put them on the IDA and, or the DOT, right? That's what you were suggesting.
So I think they already are.
I reached out to DOT a long time ago about this, and they are just as perplexed as we are.
Of course they are.
And they have never gotten back to me on that being put on there. And
Okay, pause everything we're doing.
I'll bet they'll be just as good with, the Lake Bridge. Just perplexed and not getting back to you.
yeah, I don't know if that's DOT, that's,
What?
different.
Does the bike come under Department of Transportation or not?
But Deb, is it true that DOT will assign the
We're going on
inventory number to that
12:30.
bridge?
Yes.
Yes, they did assign an inventory number to that bridge.
So who owns
And
it?
then when they inventoried it and I asked them about it, they didn't know where to put it, and they have not, after years, got back to me, because I've followed.
But they will decide ownership of that inventory number, correct?
Yes.
They tried to, yes.
They're cutting trees the other way. I think the through roads, about to come in.
Campbell Highway?
Did you see it?
No.
You see the pile of trees, all the, cleared the end, I don't know how far they're going, but.
We need to clearly figure out who owns the last Gateway Bridge is. And the,
There's two of them. Remember the two?
And the other one's actually in Fort Edward with the dive culvert, cause I didn't.
Yeah,
know
that's
it was
in the
split.
Fort Edward section.
Just into their area.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the question I'd asked, if that was less than 20, that requires, that's the town of Fort Edward's responsibility if something goes wrong.
Right.
Well,
And I don't
I
think they're,
think it was longer than the boss. So I think it's longer than 20.
yeah, it's close.
It probably is.
We got out and taped it.
Did you?
I
What was
don't,
it?
I mean, we all did. And I don't remember now. I mean, because it wasn't our bridge.
but DOT doesn't.
That was
know
our
about it,
bridge.
right? Like it doesn't have a bridge number, so DOT doesn't know.
Those are nobody's inventory.
That's my knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, they had to do that because of the Native Americans didn't go by those rules. And it's their site we're going around.
No, that's nothing to do. That's a dive culvert right in a pond on the other side of the canal.
Yeah, but it's because of the, because it's a wetland thing. There's some reason you couldn't touch it.
Well, the farmer needed it for water.
Okay, we have another. Yes.
Another.
Yeah, just one other, we have an out-of-state travel request. Terry, do you wanna just give me?
We have an out-of-state travel request, please.
Yeah, it's not part of our travel plan because it's something that we didn't know about, but it is the AI workshop down by NACO down in Pennsylvania. And we were able to rearrange some schedules. It's not expensive. It's like $50 for the conference plus.
Like $600 total.
Exactly, that's the total cost of it. So that's, yep, mileage and everything.
It looked good when I looked at it, so.
We just need a resolution because it is out of state. Yeah, it wasn't on the travel.
Move by Sue, second.
I'll second it.
But Daryl, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That it? Anything else to come before us?
You didn't wrap up. Are you that authorized, Daryl?
Thank you all.
Like that is.
I am authorizing that.
Okay, good enough. That way they know they.
Daryl and Charlie will be planning to